welcome to ThinkTech. We are raising public awareness about energy, technology, diversity, and globalization. This show is Center Stage. I am your host, Donna Blanchard, proud managing director of Kumukukui Theater. We are coming to you live from Pioneer Plaza in the heart of downtown Honolulu, very near Kumukukui Theater. We broadcast our shows every weekday from 1 to 5 on Ustream.tv and Spreaker.com, and you can watch our shows live on ThinkTechHawaii.com. You can also go there to see all of our archived shows. They are archived there and on YouTube. My guest today, I am very happy to say, is Kati Kuroda. Kati is an actress, director, and acting teacher who has worked all over this island and all over the mainland. Without further ado, I bring you Kati Kuroda. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you.
I am so anxious for this conversation. You're kind of a cool person.
Oh, thank you. I try to be cool.
With an amazing breadth of experience. You've worked, did you start working here on the island initially?
I originally was interested in doing costume design, set designing for the theater. Oh. So when I started at the University of Hawaii, Manoa, I was going for 2 degrees, a BFA in visual arts and a BA in arts and science, but the interest in the theater. So I got eventually, I got a BFA first in visual arts. And then,
what drew you to costume design first?
Well, I didn't think acting was what I was going to go into. It's just one of the first things I did at university. I was in Androcles and the Lion, and I was a wall.
Oh, that is a challenge.
Yeah, I had such good fun, And after that, I did that. I went, oh, this is a lot of fun. But earlier, when I was very young and living in Makiki, and I could never go in front of people and perform. I'd be so nervous. I would be like nightmares before I would have to get out in front of anybody. And then we moved to Kailua in 1959. Changed my life completely.
How did moving?
Well, I came from a predominantly Pidgin-speaking, local kind of area, and then I went to Kailua. And in 1959, it was mainly military kids and haole kids. And so first day in class in 7th grade, I walked in and, oh my God, there are only 5 black kids in the whole classroom, and the rest were blondes and brunettes. And then we had to introduce ourselves. And I said, my name is Kati Kuroda. So everyone. So, this one guy, smart ass, calls me Tojo Lava. And I didn't go, Tojo Lava, what's that? And then my mother explained me, Tojo Lover. And after that, I said, I'm not going to be laughed at, I'm going to learn how to speak real properly.
Oh.
Yeah, it was major. So, because all the other Asians in Kailua, like very Kotong, they spoke very good English. But coming from Honolulu, basically we were speaking Pidgin. I would have gone to Stevenson and Roosevelt. Suddenly I had to, I was popular in Honolulu, but I'm coming to a new place. No one knows me, and I'm smaller than all these other kids. They're bigger than me, and I'm not speaking like they are. I'm speaking Pidgin. So I decided I'm going to learn how to speak like them.
And you did. You taught
yourself.
Yeah.
But I can just turn on the Pidgin. When I meet local people and they feel more comfortable if I go into Pidgin, I just go into Pidgin. When I teach, I have students that speak Pidgin. I just talk in Pidgin. So I really like going back and forth. But I think as an actor, you have to be able to, a local actor, it's important that you're able to speak standard English and don't forget who you are,
Yeah. Oh, excellent. So you were studying costumes.
Yeah, costumes, and then I did Androcles and Lion, and then I did some other things. I was more in the technical side of theater, so I really know the technical part of theater. And then I started acting and saying, I really enjoy this, And I just started doing more and more things. And I was, one thing nice in Hawaii at that time, we were at the university, we could play many different roles normally, let's say, that would have been casted by Haole people or actors, use Haole actors. But in Hawaii, because you have a lot of local, in that time there were a lot of local kids in the theater department. So I was able to play a lot of these other roles that normally, like, you know, I would meet people in the mainland when I went to New York, Asians there. When they were going to college, they were really had opportunities to play lead roles. They were playing servants and doing that kind of part. Whereas in Honolulu and in Hawaii, we had that opportunity to be challenged by playing some of the major roles. So I was always, yeah, I thought that was great.
Yeah. So did you change your degree, or did you?
No, I got my parents said, get your degree, we're tired of you going, you know. So I said, okay, yeah, I'm gonna. So I got my degree in drawing and painting, and then I was teaching and also taking classes, and I was taking a lot of acting classes and doing that. So I was building all these credits, and eventually they said, we want you to get your master's. So I went, okay, I'll get my master's in Masters of Fine Arts in Theater, in children's theater, no less. So I'm actually a children's theater, you know. Of course, I was completely unlike how the other teachers, you know, most of them are like teacher types. I'm not teacher type, I'm gonna tell you.
What made you go for children's theater, though?
Well, you know, because I at that point, I guess Andrew Cleese and the Lion, I had so much fun doing that. I thought, okay, you know, this is something. I was teaching drama at the University Laboratory School, so I thought I can use that if I go into children's theater.
Gotcha.
But Tammy, who was the Hunt, well, actually, what's her name? Oh, I forget what her new name is, but anyway, she was saying, you know, you really want to be an actress. I said, yeah, I think so. But I did get my degree in children's theater, so
okay.
I can inspire the young ones.
And then where did you start teaching right away?
I taught for 13 years into 1983, and then you know, for me, what I often find is, you know, I'm a really gung-ho teacher. I would do all these interesting things with my students, but then I burn out, and I've always find that there's the other part, the creative part of me, which is that has to be expressed. And in Hawaii, I was getting some really good roles, and it was becoming really a name in Hawaii in that period of time. But you know, you're a big fish in a small pond. And I said, I want to know where I stand. I want to see where, you know, I compete. I want to compete with the big boys. So where do you go? I went to New York.
You went straight to New York from here.
My first job in New York, I was a Macy elf. Hey, you gotta, you know, when you go there, you gotta find job. And my first job in New York City was a Macy elf. And I learned a lot, you know. I can tell you secrets about Santa Land. It's supposed to be top secret, but anyway. So that was my first, and then I got hooked up with a lot with Pan Asian Repertory Theater. So I did a lot with them, and then I started auditioning outside of that and just auditioning. So for about 21 years, I basically was an actor, living on paying the rent by acting and stuff like that. It's a tough
That's quite
life.
an accomplishment.
Yeah, it's really tough. I mean, you know, you have to have. In the beginning, I had an office job and never did office work in my life before, and suddenly I'm doing office work. But you know, I'm always give me a challenge, and I'm going to be the best I can be in it. So I became the chart queen. I used to make charts for this company that was a management consultant firm. But afterwards, you know, I was getting all these jobs in theater, and I had to leave the company. They liked me. They used to let me go for months, and I would come back and work.
Perfect.
You know, one thing about New York, if you work hard and you're a good worker, they want to keep you.
Yeah.
So they allowed me. There would be months where I would be doing regional theater, and then I would come back. I would have a steady job in this office. But then I got into this company called the Acting Company, and that was like a 6-month gig where we toured all throughout the United States. And that's when, from then on, it was like, okay, you're an actor. This is what you want to do. This is where your passion is.
And what years were those when you were in?
Well, I guess by I I never remember the dates.
Ballpark, decade.
Yeah, by the 19, I would say 1991 around there. By that point, I was basically an actor.
Oh, okay.
Living off of, prior to that, it was actor, but also working in an office. So that's hard, you work in an office and then you go to rehearsal in the evening and then eventually perform. But when you're a full-time actor, you're hired the 8-hour day, and it's your job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're spending time when you're not on stage rehearsing, getting resumes out for
resumes.
job.
And also, when you're performing, during the daytime, when you're free, you're out hitting the road, you're auditioning. You're always putting yourself out front. And to me, people don't realize it's one of the hardest jobs in the world because rejection is part of it.
Is a big part of it.
Big part of it. A lot of people think, oh, they're going to New York and they're going to make it big. Oh, honey, let me tell you, it's not like that. No. You have to work. You got to pay your dues. Unless you happen to be very wealthy or you had connections or you're sleeping with somebody. You know what I mean? But you have to work at it. And there are times when you can taste that part. You've gone to 2 or 3 callbacks, and you want that part so bad, and you're so excited, and you're waiting for that phone call to ring, and you don't get it.
Yeah,
now,
I know that
you
feeling.
can fall apart, okay, and go, oh, I don't want this career, or you can go, okay, you didn't get that job, but there's always the other job. And then you pick yourself up and you go out there and you get it. Or if you're not a confident person, if you're very insecure, you're going to get killed. I mean, you're going to just suffer in New York.
Yeah.
So you got to get your shit together, Yes, it's really important.
I remember my first year in the conservatory, they said, if there's anything else in this world you can see yourself doing other than acting for a living, do it now. Leave the program right now. Go.
Uh-huh.
And some people left.
Uh-huh.
Some people left it. Some people, it took them a few months for it to really sink in, and they said,
yeah,
I got to move to something else.
And some people, I have actor people who I know who will go for so many years, and you're not getting parts, and you have real small parts, and it doesn't seem like your career is advancing. And some of those people eventually leave the theater, or they do some other parts, the technical part of theater. Or some of them simply say, no, this is not for me.
Yeah. So you worked, I've got some of the companies that you worked with. You worked with the Pittsburgh Public Theater, National Asian American Theater Company, West Virginia's Public Theater, Gateway Performing Arts, Long Wharf Theater, Manhattan Theater Club, Roundabout Theater, the Guthrie, the Acting Company, and the New York Shakespeare Festival.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like doing all kinds of things. I love it when there's a production that's doing non-traditional casting. Being an actor of color, you don't always have the opportunity. You got to realize that when you go to the mainland, they're going to put you in. Okay, you're Asian. You're this. You're gonna play this kind of parts. Once in a while, you see a production, and it's non-traditional casting, and it's great because then you have the opportunity to play some of these great roles, and often people are surprised. Oh, they can actually do it. That she's Asian, but she can actually do that part.
Yeah.
So like the show that I'm doing right now at TAG is normally, done by a African American actress, but the director decided, well, a chance to using this Asian, and I'm having a blast doing it.
That's fabulous. That's an amazing show too that we'll talk about. We're going to take a little break here.
All right.
And we'll talk about that on the other side of the break. This is Center Stage on ThinkTech Hawaii, and we will be right back.
I'm Hong Jiang, host for Asia in Review on Tuesdays.
And I'm David Day, host for Asian Review on Thursdays. Both of us broadcast our respective shows at 4 p.m.
And my topics tend to deal with questions related to environment, culture, history, and sometimes human rights.
And my shows tend to be on international business, foreign policy, geopolitics, and national security. And you can watch our shows live on the ThinkTech website at thinktechhawaii.com.
And you can also watch us on YouTube or Olalo.
So come join us on Thursdays at 4 p.m. I'm David Day.
And on Tuesdays at 4 p.m., I'm Hong Jiang.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Hi, we're back. This is Center Stage on the ThinkTech Hawaii Digital Series. I'm Donna Blanchard, proud Managing Director of Kumukuhui Theater. We're coming to you live from Pioneer Plaza in the heart of downtown Honolulu, very near Kumukuhui Theater. And I'm talking with Kati Kuroda, actor, director, teacher. So let's talk about what you're doing right now. You are in a Christopher Durang show at the Actors
TAG.
Group.
And I'm having a blast. And this is our last week. Yeah. And I'm getting to play this wonderful character called Cassandra, who's the psychic.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's Christopher Durang.
I love his writing. He's so witty. You know, my forte is comedy, but I love doing the heavy stuff too.
Oh yeah.
And this is an opportunity for me to play my comic side to come out.
Yeah, to really let it come out, because Christopher Durang is one of those playwrights that the sky is the limit. You cannot get too crazy, too big, too out there with your choices, because his writing is so. You have to go there.
Yeah.
It begs that of you. Oh, that's fabulous. Is it being well received?
Yes, I think so. We've had pretty good houses, and then probably the last week. That's when people come. You always go, why didn't you come when there were tickets? They all come toward the last part, you know.
I think that's a bigger problem on this island than I have seen on the mainland before, is people rely so heavily on word of mouth.
Yeah.
That by the time a really great show is
and then suddenly it's all sold out.
And it's gone.
Yeah, and in the beginning parts there was room for people, you know. But that's how it goes, you know.
That's just part of this island. So, if you don't mind, I'd like to talk about your approach to the work, because it's still fresh in your mind when you came to this script, Vanya, Sonia, Masha, and Spike. Where do you begin with the script?
Well, first thing I do is someone said, there's this wonderful script, you know. I'm not good about checking what all the audition things, you know. I'm slowly, for the longest time I've been in Hawaii teaching, you know, and I was not auditioning. So suddenly I'm in the scene and people are going, who is she, you know. I was at Universal Laboratory School busy teaching, but now that I'm retired, I can devote myself to acting. And so what I always do is, someone said, check the script out. And so I read it and I said, oh, I love this script and I love this character. I want to play this character. And once I got the role, then I start, as any actor, you start really rehearsing, learning the lines, and trying to find your take on that character. I had not seen what this other woman, she won the Best Actress, Supporting Actress in New York for this role. I have no idea what she did. And I prefer it that way, because I have to, when I do something, I'm taking it and making it my version. You know, like even when I direct, I don't want someone to do someone else's version. I want them to find their version of the character, because it becomes more rich and alive when you're bringing a part of yourself. Then say, you got to do it this way, the way it was done this way by this actress.
Yeah, I never want to see someone else play a role.
Right. So the way it was good, I have heard she was wonderful and you know this, but I said, well, I'm going to do my take on this character. And you know what also helps? When you get a good costume.
Oh.
When you get a costume and you put it on, and it's like, oh, I know how I'm going to do this.
It just wraps everything up for you. So you have a great costumer. Who's doing the costumes?
Her name is Christy. I don't remember last name.
Okay. I'm terrible with last names too, so.
But she's wonderful. she basically gave me the costume thing, and all. I think this character, it's not in the director's notes. I mean, the playwright's notes. The character's between 30 and 60, and I'm in my 60s. Would you believe?
I wouldn't.
So anyway, I said, I think this is an old hippie, so I'm going to play like an old hippie, you know. With the gemstones and the crystals and all of that kind of thing. But she loves her jewelry and she loves her red nails, So and the costume she gave me was just great. And then from there we added jewelry, and I have tons of jewelry. I love earrings and stuff like that. So I had just this infinite amount they could pick from, and so I used all my own jewelry in that show.
Oh, nice. A lot of times when you work in theaters, there's a costumer who gives you everything. You don't have a lot of input in it. And I've also done shows on a much smaller budget when I'm the one out shopping.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is part of building the character, is when you are shopping in that mindset for what ring would this character really love to wear.
Yeah, I don't mind doing that because I love, I'm what you call a character actress. I'm not your ingenue. I'm not your, the pretty little thing. I play characters. And they're usually smaller parts. Thank God, you don't have to memorize as much. But if a character interests me, I think, oh, I can have fun with this character. I have a whole image in my mind. I create this image, who this lady is.
Do you do most of that on your own, or does that
Yeah,
happen
I
in
spend a lot of
rehearsals?
time thinking about any part I play. Like this next role I'm going to be playing for Kumu is a woman that's early part of dementia. And she's heavy, really kind of real pitta type pigeon. And so I'm now creating in my mind how I see her, how I want to do her. Yeah. And this image came for me is, she smells. She hasn't had a bath in a couple of, it's mentioned in the script. That to me is a real powerful image. She smells. So she should be, she should just reek of when you see her. So, I had explained to the director, she was talking about costumes, I see her in a battered old slip, stained in a bathrobe, and her hair is disheveled. But she was an Avon lady, too. So there's that. Oh, at one point she was an Avon lady, so how am I going to bring that in? That there's that part of her too.
Yeah. Oh, you got complexity built right.
Yeah.
In there.
So I'm developing her yet, and I like it if a director leaves me alone and lets me kind of like see and play and try different things. That's when I work best. But if a director comes in and tells me this is what I want, I don't like that.
Yeah. Well, and I feel the same way that you do. But there are directors who move people around like chess pieces, and then it's up to the actor to assimilate that. And some people love working that way on both sides. I feel so smothered and constrained, and like I'm just clawing within that process.
When I direct, my attitude is, I'm one person with some idea of what I want in the play. But, you come with a bunch of people. You have the designers, you have the playwright, you have the actors. You're just one mind. And I'm not going to know all the answers. So I like surprises. I want to find out from the actors what is natural for you.
Oh, yeah.
So I do a lot of playing around in the beginning. I play around a lot with blocking and pulling from the actors their interpretation, what they see. And my job as a director is to overall see everything works and comes together. But I like that mixture of director with actors, and we're all creating to make a piece happen.
Oh, so you're more of a collaborative director.
Really, yeah. I mean, and some young actors, when you work with some young actors, you have to almost tell them. But if you work with a little more experienced actors, I want them to play. because so much is discovered when you allow the actor to play. I mean, sometimes when I think some directors, when they come in and they have everything so set in their mind, they're not allowing that opportunity of play. And some wonderful ideas come out.
Oh,
you know, because you're just one person. When you got all these other people where you can feed off of, you know. And I have worked with directors who say, this is how the line is set. This is da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
yeah.
You know.
Then it's coming from just one person's
Yeah.
idea. I can't tell you how many artists I've sat with at this table who have, artists of many different ilk have said they surprise themselves when they are improvising, when they're in the creative process and something comes out that they never thought they would have said or done or written. That's where the magic is.
That's what is so wonderful about theater as compared to, say, movie acting. The characters, you know, when you do a play and you're doing it for months, that opportunity of really developing that character. So, like this in Flowers of Hawaii, I worked with a young actor and I said, I love for you to play with me. Don't think what we did the first run was just all you can do, honey. We can take it even further. So the second time we did the run, he was exploring more and more, and it was exciting. I didn't know what he was going to do, and I liked that. Now, there's some actors who did not like that, you know. They like, you did it this way, and this is the way you always should do it. Me, it's the, oh, okay. I know who I am, I know what the character, what the motivation is, but let's play.
Yeah.
Let's see where this is going to take us.
You're not going outside of the story.
Not going
that's
outside
to be
the
told,
story, no.
and negating any direction, but I get exactly what you're saying. I worked with an actor in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? Very small cast.
Yeah.
And I'm Martha, and he's George, and he involuntarily changed his blocking just a little bit almost every show. And I loved it because it kept all of us on our toes. We had to be in that moment. It galvanized the performance.
I like that. You like me, you know. I was like, oh.
Because I know who the character is. I know how she's going to react to anything you give me.
Anything you give me, I'm going to play how this character reacted. So one day he jumped over something. It was like totally new. It was like, okay, let me play off of that, whatever you do. But like I say, you know, some actors just go like, you didn't do it that way.
Some get frozen, yeah.
And I think that's the danger, getting frozen too much. And this is the way it's done, and it always has to be done this way.
Well, and you know what? Sometimes the problem comes when, you know, as an actor, we all like to get stroked. We all like to be told that we're doing a good job. But what I've seen happen before is in rehearsals, something happens and the director says, oh, that's good, and then it never changes after that because that ego got fed.
So sometimes it's better not to say anything, just let them explore. I always say to my actors, you know, once the play is on, it's really your show. I want you to grow. But stay with basically what I want, what our motivation is, what the story's all about. But I want you to grow. I want you to challenge yourself. I want you to see there's so much more. You know, when you're doing a run for a long time, suddenly, for whatever reason, you say a line and you say it differently. And suddenly, oh, yeah, I get it now. I get it. And it's so exciting.
Magical.
It's like, woo, magic, you know.
Yeah, and have you realized, it's happened to me before where I say a line differently and I realize, my God, humans are so crazy. You can say anything, anyway, and make it real.
So
as long as you believe it.
Yes, you have to believe and there's the truth in it.
Yes, it
will
fits
work.
with that.
Because I've done plays where I have to say the most corny line in the world, and I always think, they're going to throw tomatoes at me. But if you say it with total commitment, the audience will buy it.
They're going to buy it.
Yeah.
They're going to eat it up. We're going to take another break real quick. I want to work with you. This is Center Stage on the ThinkTech Hawaii digital series, and we'll be right back.
Aloha, my name is Daniel Luke, and this is my co-host Ze Ing. We'll be here every other Monday on New Media, The Bleeding Edge on ThinkTech, talking about the intersection of social media and the news. We'll cover technology, trends, and other fun stuff. Did I leave anything out?
Well, I'm here to keep you honest, so that's my job, to remind you of everything you've forgotten and to challenge you at every point.
Excellent. My wife tells me that I'm wrong about quite a lot.
Hi, we're back. This is Center Stage on the ThinkTech Hawaii Digital Series. I'm Donna Blanchard, talking with Kati Kuroda, and we're going to get right back into the conversation. So, first thing I would really like to get to in this last 15 minutes is teaching. So you were teaching all the way from elementary to high school age?
I had all the ages. Yeah.
And I imagine that you were you
Yeah.
for those kids. You didn't pander, I bet.
No, I had them off like a sailor. I always tell the parents when they would come to see the productions, I'm the teacher that you probably heard says all these things to your kids, and it's like, she said that word. But you know, I would get results. And I think the kids, you know, they can tell if you're fake or not. They can read it right away. And I'm a tough teacher when I work with my kids. You know, even with the youngest one, I demand a certain amount. You know, kids are going to be cute. They can't help it. You know, they're in their costume, and their parents go, "Oh, I love this, you're cute." And I would say, I'm not into cute kids. You know, when you do a show with me, I want you to play a character. I want you to understand what motivations and high points and all that. So at a very my young ones, elementary, I would treat them like young actors. They understood going upstage, downstage, you know, they understand what is the high point, what is the climax, you know, picking up cues, let's pick up. So I'm very much like, so teaching the super young, it depends on what the subject I would deal with them. That was different, maybe.
Sure.
Yeah. But I would pretty much, you know, I demand, you know, when you expect good work from somebody, you're going to get it. If you only want to say, oh, we're going to make them cute, they're just going to be cute, you know, so what, you know? But, so parents would come see the productions that I would do at the lab school, and they would just go, I thought I was going to be bored. And they would say, like, oh my God, it was so entertaining. Because I'm writing from a real showbiz attitude, you know. I'm going to entertain my audience. So when I would write all the plays, too, for the kids. Because my philosophy was I did not want a child to go their whole drama experience. You know, like in some drama classes, only the kids that are real out there get the parts. I want even the shyest kid to have a moment where they have to play a character. So I always made sure that every child had a moment on stage, or moments that was theirs. And, you know, take the ball and go with it, have fun with it. So they would play all these characters, and sometimes my humor would be real tongue-in-cheek, very adult. But it was hilarious, you know. And some of the kids would not understand, why were the people laughing, you know? I said, honey, it's there, it's there.
Trust the script, baby, do it.
It's the script. But I would have to write these plays so that, you know, I would take, for example, Aesop is essentially, a lot of times, just 1 or 2 paragraphs, you know. I would take a tale like the rabbit, the hare, and the tortoise and the hare, and I would add characters. Like the tortoise, his friends were all, you know, these nerds and geeks, you know, types. And the rabbit was a womanizer, and he had his gang, and he was like a real jock, you know. So I would add these characters, and on the adventure, why he loses is he's so busy, his ego, you know, people feeding his ego, and the turtle, the tortoise, going, you know. So you can take anything, and I would add characters so that everybody had moments to speak.
Awesome.
Yeah, and you know, I was doing writing, creating the set. We didn't have much sets, but we did a lot of costumes, you know. Hours and hours I spent getting a production ready. And and the kids would show up. They would show up on weekends for me.
Oh, yeah. I
Yeah.
bet.
So I had it was a lot of fun, and I learned so much from them, as far as I think about acting too, by the fact that I worked with all these young kids, and
Yeah. You could have not spent all those hours. You could have.
Yeah, I
Not
could have
done.
done half-assed kind of thing. That's not what I'm about. If I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it right. And I'm going to create a story, and I'm going to get the best I can out of these kids. So a lot of teachers who have disciplinary problems with some kids,
You never did.
never had that.
Oh, I
Yeah.
wouldn't mess with you.
Hey, don't mess with me, kid. We got a show we're putting on, and you are screwing up with me. You're wasting everybody's time. And the kids like the class, so they would often say, "Hey, she said shut up, so shut up."
Yeah.
So I had a blast. But I was just at a point when I left. A part of me is going. The artist part of me of my own thing, because I don't think my students realize that I'm really first and foremost an actress. Some of them are now coming to see the shows that I've been in, and they're going, "Oh, she does act."
Oh. No, wait a minute. What brought you back to the island?
I came back, would come back to help my mom out. My father passed away, and help my mom out. And in 2004, I was helping her clean up the attic, and I fell, and I broke my ankle in 2 spots. So the doctor says, you can't go back to New York for a while. The school that I used to work at, the University Laboratory School, said, we hear you're in town. We would want you to apply for this opening. It's the drama position again. So I applied for it. And I thought, I've always wanted to retire in Hawaii, but I don't want to be doing something I don't want. My passion is theater. My life is theater. And that's what I share with my students. I think that's why my class was popular, is that's my passion. I love it, and hopefully they're getting it too. And there's a magic about theater, and I want them to understand it's make-believe, but it's creative and all that. So what happened is I said, I'm fatalistic in a way too. I said, well, here it is, I have a job. I'm able to be back in Hawaii doing something I love, which is theater. And I'm teaching now. So I devoted 9 years. I totally dedicated myself to my students. And I was doing like anywhere from 6 to 8 productions a year.
Oh, wow.
With the elementary productions, junior high productions, high school productions. I wore myself.
Crazy.
I mean, you really, literally, I was just so physically tired. But we had good fun. I mean, but then you reach a point where it's like, now I need to take care of this other side of me, which is I'm an actress, really. So I just started auditioning for roles in Hawaii, and I've been getting these roles, And a lot of people, where have you been? We've not seen you on stage. I've been around. I've just been teaching all this time.
Yeah, you've been quite busy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy you're back at Kumu again. You were in Flowers of Hawaii last year in the remount that we did, and the show that you have coming up is The Underneath by Susan Sooney Stanton, and that opens November 7th.
I think so, yeah.
It runs November 7th through December 6th. I'm looking forward to that. That's kind of an amazing script.
It's a very interesting script, and I'm, like I say, right now I'm thinking about this character and developing her, and I'm kind of excited what I'm going to do with this woman.
I'm excited too, though.
Yeah, I think I'm on a blast with her because she's so, tough.
Yeah. Complex.
She's complex, yeah, and sometimes, you don't know what is true, what is not true in the script, because it's like a puzzle, it's like a mystery.
Yeah. It's a very noir.
Yes,
script.
very much, yeah.
So we just have about 5 minutes left, and what I'd like to get into a little bit, if you don't mind, is you talked about it's your passion. This is your passion. You have to do it. I'd like to explore that a little bit.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of people who have jobs they're not passionate about.
Yeah. I tell my kids, what I've heard too, so I don't know who said it, but the job you have should be something that you would do for free. That's going to make you happy. I mean, like right now, I'm doing all this theater, and I'm not getting paid for it. I'm used to getting paid for acting, but I'm doing it because it's my passion. I have to do it, And so many people have jobs where, you got to pay the rent, you got to do this and this. But how wonderful in this world if you had the job you were doing, you love it so much, you don't have to get paid for it. You just have to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know a lot
My
of
younger
people,
sister is practically, that's immature thinking.
So, like, there's something wrong with that. I'm not going to grow up.
I'm never going to grow up. I don't think I ever will grow up. I have a teenager's mind, but I have a senior citizen's body.
No,
Honey,
not quite.
it's slowed
You
down.
meet in
I
the
used to
middle.
be so much more energy, but now,
Well, you spend it on those kids. It's going to come back eventually, though.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
still recovering
Yeah.
from that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
When did you retire?
I retired last year, I think it was. Yeah, last year I
Yeah,
retired.
it'll come back.
Yeah. And I'm enjoying my retirement. Love it.
Good. It's
Yeah.
hard. It's hard for some people to go from being a paid actor to working in community theater.
Uh-huh.
That's a difficult pill to swallow sometimes.
Uh-huh.
And I know that I am sure that you haven't had an issue with it because the ego hasn't been a part of it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or was it a little? Was it a little?
I keep my ego. I mean, sometimes I work with these these actors, and I have so much experience, but I don't tell them about it. If they ask me about my experience, I'll tell them. But I love watching other actors, like the show that at TAG, watching these actors get better and better, and then playing with them. I love that, and any play I'm in, that becomes the family, my family. And then the family, when the play closes, then they say goodbye to some of your family members, and maybe you work again. But for that moment, I always want to be very positive about everyone I work. I try not to get involved with, sometimes they can be on these things that go on with actors.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a waste of time.
Yeah, drama goes on the stage.
Well, how it is.
I know.
It is like,
I work in a theater every day. I know how it is.
Yeah, it's just, I would prefer to enjoy all the actors I'm working with. Yeah. So I keep my ego. I try to keep it really in check.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it gets in the way if you get too big. If your ego gets too big.
Oh yeah, I would enjoy. I far prefer studying and learning about and spending time in my character's ego.
Yeah.
What makes this person feel insecure, and what are they proud about, and what do they wish you would think about them, and that's much more fun than worrying about. Sometimes I think as actors, because we do have to be aware of an audience to some extent, we have to make sure that they hear us.
Yeah.
That we are physically manifesting what we need to for their perception. So I think to some extent, ego has to be a part of that dance.
And that's the thing also about theater, that audience, that energy. If audiences would really feed the actors, when somebody's funny and laugh and enjoy it, it feeds us. It makes us even more want to, okay, it's showtime,
Yeah, and you feel it.
You feel it. That's movies you don't really get that, and TV you don't really get that, but plays, you keep growing, and that energy. Each audience group you have is different. Some people are like, like the show I'm doing right now. We have this audience that was so quiet, and we're all going, "Oh God, they hate us. Oh, they're not getting it." It's the audience that gave us a standing ovation at the end.
Oh, yeah, those audiences are so hard to figure out.
Yeah, they're so hard. And I told one of the actors, I said, in New York, this has happened to me before, you think you're not getting to the audience. And then all of a sudden at the end, it's a standing ovation. It's a listening audience. That's what it is, you know. There's
Yeah.
audiences that listen.
They're living it with
and
you.
they're enjoying it internally, kind of thing.
We have to wrap up.
Okay.
Thank you so much for coming in and talking and sharing all of this. It was inspiring for me.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank
I
you.
enjoyed the conversation. We could use another hour. But I have to wrap up now. So let me say a few things. I would like to thank our production manager, Zuri Bender, who is in my ear, Chrissy Goffigan, who is our communications director, Sachi Slomov, who is our stage manager, and Jay Pidell, who somehow manages to put it all together. Thank you to you for being here. I'm happy you spent this 45 minutes with us, and I hope you come back next week to watch Center Stage Tuesday at 2 o'clock. Thanks. Bye.